Tonight on 4th and 99, join David, Keith, and Matt as they do a midseason review of the Denver Broncos. Is there accountability within this organization? Are changes needed? What injuries do we have and what key players are we getting back? Who is the midseason MVP? Who is a bust and who must improve? So join us tonight, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Come loaded with your questions. See you tonight.
Broadcasting from the heart of the Colorado Rockies, it's 4th and 99 with your hosts, David Slade, Keith Brugman, and Matt Staffiero. Now let's talk football here on 4th and 99.
All right, hello, Bronco Country. It's David here with 4th and 99, the Rocky Mountain Sports Report. We want to give a shout out to our sponsor really quick. We've got Willow's Seasonings and Blends, putting a little spice into your life. Check them out and give them a try. So tonight with me, I have, as usual, Matt Staffiero and Keith Brugman. How you gentlemen doing this evening? Matt, how you doing?
Matt might be doing okay. I'm doing all right.
Keith, how you doing? How you doing, Keith?
I'm doing pretty good, man.
How's the weather up in Montana?
All said and done, you know what I mean? Coming off the Broncos loss, not too bad. How about yourself?
Doing well. Got a little bit of snow this morning, maybe about a 32nd of an inch on my truck this morning. How's the weather up there in Montana? Cold?
It's been cold. Mainly, we went from a windy, like 45, 50 mile an hour gust yesterday to just clear and cold today. So, just bundle up a little bit and turn up the heater.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe spice up your life a little bit. Get that warmth from the inside out.
That's right. All right, Matt, how you doing this evening?
Oh, I'm doing all right. I lost audio for a second, so I was freaking out. I tapped the earbuds and turned them off. New technology. I was like, where the heck did everybody go?
Got to get used to that new technology. So
I figured it out. We're good. We're good to go now.
Yep.
But I heard your little our 30-second snow this morning. It was almost disastrous. It was just flurries everywhere.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I looked outside. I'm like, what the heck is this? Come on, it's November 17th. Why is there any type of precipitation in Colorado?
Hey, Matt, when's the first snow going to get here? But
that's the crazy thing. I mean, it's just so late in the season, and we really haven't had a snow yet. Not a measurable snow down here in the Front Range. So, all right, guys. Hey, we got a lot. We got a lot to talk about tonight. I mean, we go into Dallas. We beat the Dallas Cowboys. Boy, we're like Keith said, we went into work Monday pumping our chest out, you know. And then we come back and we play the Philadelphia Eagles, and boy, we just took a nosedive. So
it was like a kick
one thing one thing that really stems this topic here about accountability within this organization. I mean, there's a couple things that are really bugging me. First of all, I'm going to talk about our special teams coach, Tom McMahon. How does this man, Keith, how does this guy still have a job?
You know, I'm not going to agree with you guys on every topic tonight. I know this, but this is one that I think we'll all agree on. I don't understand it. There is a special teams coach. You're not having to change your whole offense philosophy. You don't have to change your whole defensive philosophy. You're not changing them. I mean, it's obviously special teams is a major key, but this coach has one job and one job only. And it seems like every week, if not every other week, he's failing. He's failing the Broncos and causing us to either A, lose momentum, or B, lose games. So You've got me, Dave. I have no idea how he sticks around.
And
should have been 2 weeks ago. He should have been gone. He should be gone.
I don't either. And it's like you said, Keith, every single week there's at least one I'm sorry. There's at least one special teams blunder. So
Yeah, just to cut you off real quick, there was a stat that was coming around. Is 7 of the last 10 games, there's been a special team mishap, whether it was game altering or just something that's caused us false starts, messed up snaps, something. It just goes to show that you said the key word accountability. There, it's the lack thereof accountability, and it's the fear to make something happen, or it would have been done. Or going back to what we talked about, 3-4 weeks ago. Is it just a hands-off year where nobody wants to hold anyone accountable for some larger reason?
It has to be disheartening to players when you see a coach who doesn't do his job, and if a player doesn't do his job, guess what? He's, may get benched, but you got a coach and one particular coach who doesn't have his team, his group fully prepared every week, I mean, and I just don't understand how the man still has a job and why nobody is holding him accountable. I mean, Keith, do you think it's because of, as Matt said, it's a hands-off approach this year, or is Vic Fangio just afraid to step up and make changes?
Yeah, I think it stems from very high, right? I think it stems from ownership issues, and it flows all the way down through. From that respect, I think it's a hands-off year. I think we put the people in place we wanted to have for the beginning of the year. Didn't matter if it was coaches, didn't matter if it was coordinators, didn't matter if it was starting quarterbacks. And I think we're going to be riding this pretty hard until that is figured out, which should be this offseason.
But I mean, at the same time, though, back to your point, it is disheartening, though. But I mean, we talk about there being constant issues with special teams, but if we look at offense, it's been constant issues, the same issues happening over and over and over again. We've pounded to death how many times Teddy Bridgewater should never be passing near 40 passing attempts, how Drew Lock should never be passing near 40 passing attempts, how when there's a balanced approach, it's at least a more competitive game. Defensively, we've been waiting for the elite defense for how many seasons now, and we're still here. He's been given all the tools. He's got the $70 million secondary. The accountability, the guy who's holding people accountable isn't even being held accountable. It only makes sense that either they don't want to make a big splash because they don't want to deter, or they want to present some kind of formal imagery to when this new owner is going to buy the team, or I mean, that's the only logical thing it can be at this point, because I mean, if Vic Fangio was the coach of any other team right now, would he have a job? The answer is no. If Pat Shurmur put this performance out for 2 consecutive seasons, mismanaging the said quote unquote to be star franchise quarterback, he wouldn't be here either. But it's just the Denver Broncos, and we're so committed to mediocrity that we're continuing to have this hands-off approach.
And Vic Fangio preached. I mean, he was hired basically on the phrase "death by inches," and this guy almost has us buried now.
And death by miles is what it is. It's death by miles.
Yeah, and he's the guy carrying the shovel. He's digging the hole deeper and deeper, and I mean, it's just very, very frustrating. Another thing that really bothered me last week, and I know this has been beat to death by the media, but this is something that, and a lot of people are misinterpreting what people are saying. A lot of people are questioning Teddy's toughness. Teddy didn't even make an effort at tackling Slade. So I'm not bringing into question his toughness, because I know he's tough. He stood in the pocket. He's taken hit after hit after hit, But this guy showed zero heart on that play. It's like he just sold out and said to the guys, you know what? I'm not taking a shot at this guy. I'm just going to sort of take a step back. I mean, Keith, do you think that Vic Fangio should have been a little more open with the public and really got on this guy about this?
This is places where I think we're going to differ. I think it's as disheartening as it was. It's one play by one player, and we've seen some great players make some I hate to say business decisions, but it wasn't obviously a football move. Let's put it that way. Deion Sanders was known for being one of the worst tacklers in the league, but one of the best shutdown corners. this is where we're going to differ, just because I think this team, the Denver Broncos, has done a terrible job on giving up on coaches, giving up on players, giving up way too soon. And if you look at those storied franchises, you see just the opposite. If you look at, obviously, a Patriots, if you look at like a Steelers, it's what holds that team together for a long, long time. Even if you look at the Green Bay Packers and how long Mike McCarthy was there, you really want to try to hold that together as long as possible and try to let that play out. Yeah, I think he owned up to it himself. I don't think any more accountability from a veteran player is really needed. I think hopefully he's learned his lesson and he moves forward from this. So I know I'm going to differ from at least one of you, if not.
Yeah, definitely. And I got a total different opinion on it. I think Teddy quit on his team right there.
Matt, hold on.
Matt, and I'm gonna come to you. All right.
Go ahead.
All right. I can have my opinion. Teddy quit. He did not make an effort to stop.
I'm not disagreeing there. We are on the same page there.
He quit on his teammates, and that's how teammates look at it. You played football, Matt. I played football. I'm sure Keith played football or some sort of sport.
Yep.
When somebody does something like that, that's almost the unforgivable sin. You know, it would have been different if Teddy tried to go after the guy and missed him. Teddy didn't even go after the guy. He actually stepped back. And then when first asked about it, he came up with some BS answer about, oh, well, I was trying to push him back inside for somebody else. There was nobody else, Teddy.
You were on the opposite side.
You were the last dude.
And he was on the wrong side. He was on the wrong side.
He was saying he was right. I'm using the sideline, but he's anyway, Matt, do you think this is a sign that maybe this team is giving up on these coaches?
No. You seen the post the next day that went out from Draymond Jones. You seen the Shelby Harris post.
Matt, come on, man.
The guy went out and literally put it on his social media and said, this is our coach. This is what we believe in. He went out of his own doing. Nobody targeted Draymond Jones for that. But let's go back to the Teddy thing. Let's go back to it real quick. He did it because of the main reason of what this subject is, accountability. He knew that he knows that he's George Payton's guy. He knows that he's Vic Fangio's guy. He knows that he's Pat Shurmur's guy. So who gives a damn in their eyes if he makes a tackle or not, or if he even tries, because there's no accountability for it. He's still going to be the coach next year. I mean, he's still going to be the quarterback next week. He is. He really is. Vic Fangio didn't even reprimand or say anything negative. He said he tried his best at the press conference.
If you think that he's sitting there as that play is drawing out and going, computing through his mind, oh, yeah, I think I'm going to be the quarterback next year, so I'm not going to make this tackle.
Oh, no.
Hey, I don't think so. If anything, he's thinking, you know what? I've had a concussion. I've been banged up. I've been hit every single week. This offensive line has let me down, left, right, and otherwise. And I'm not going to go ahead and dive in on a tackle that's probably just going to get me sandwiched and a cleat in the back and watch this guy walk in front of it. It's not so much that he knows it's his job. He knows he doesn't want to hurt himself and then probably put the team in an even worse position, which we've always talked about. Drew Lock is no better.
Wait a minute. So you would rather this guy let this guy run for a touchdown instead of he could have tripped him up easily. He would have stopped the touchdown. I mean, the guy was within 2 feet of him.
He could have.
I'm not disagreeing that it was a bad decision.
He
could have LeBron'd it. He could have just flopped. He could have done something. But the same thing about it. He made a business decision, and it was in the heat of the moment, sure. But he knows that there's been no reprimand on this team at all. So it wasn't so much that him thinking I'm going to be quarterback next week. He made a half-ass effort. Nobody else has been.
He didn't make a half effort, Matt. He made zero effort.
Well, look how many players on the team have made a zero effort though this season. How many mistakes?
I have never seen one guy bail on a tackle that he had.
Oh, that's not true. Cam Newton in the Super Bowl. Cam Newton.
We're not talking about Cam Newton's Super Bowl. We're talking about the damn Denver Broncos and this team with no accountability.
Oh, there is no
accountability. I don't care what Cam did in 2015. Cam's not on our team.
Absolutely. That's the problem. That's where we're at right
now. And it's people that are just trying to make excuses for Teddy again.
But there is no excuse. The fact is he could have tried something, and and the way he came out and tried to shift it in his press conference, he could have just, if he would have owned the mistake right there, Like, I had a lapse of judgment. I didn't make the play. We would be having a different conversation today, but he didn't. He tried to make some,
I
like
don't
you
think
said,
I don't
BS
think Dave would be
excuse.
having any different conversation with you if he would have came
No,
up and
I
owned up
wouldn't.
to it
We
that said,
No, I
wouldn't.
wouldn't.
I just
We
gave up
wouldn't,
on the
but
play and I didn't make any effort at all. Dave, would that change your mind at all?
Absolutely not.
oh, it
I
wouldn't
didn't
change
think
our.
so.
But it's not about
But
changing our
my
minds. It's
point
about
is
the
it's one
players.
play. We're trying to take one play from one guy and hang an entire game on him.
Oh,
There's been
that's not.
plays from
Oh,
players,
yeah,
and
no.
we went after Noah Fant for his lack of effort on blocking.
You know what would have happened if that was Drew Lock?
Oh,
They
he
would
had been
have
crucified.
drugged that guy down Broadway for 20 miles, you know? But Teddy, Vic has to pat him on the head, say, it's okay, Teddy. You just next time try a little harder, please.
I mean, that's
Come
essentially what
on.
happened. That
And
is
that's
what
what's
happened.
wrong with
But
this team. We got a coach that will not hold any players accountable
anywhere,
or
we
coaches
talked.
for that matter.
There is no accountability from top to bottom. This is what we talked about last week when we were talking about the waiver wire. Bradley and Nine made a simple mistake on the special teams that pretty much essentially almost cost him the game. He's getting cut. We're not asking for that. I'm not asking for Teddy to be reprimanded that way. And there's no way in heck that
I
loss
don't want
is
him to
on.
be cut.
No, and the loss isn't on Teddy. So I think that's another misconstrued side of this. It was just that one play.
One play and he's cut, Dave?
No, I did not. I don't want him cut.
I
did
thought
not
you
want him
wanted
cut.
him cut. I was like,
No.
gracious.
Well, I would sit him down and I would say, you know what, Teddy? Just like Rex Ryan said, you're not my starting quarterback right now. And I would start Drew Lock coming out of the bye. And and it's just sort of showing people that, you know what, this isn't going to happen around here. See, Matt, you're part of the problem.
But
sitting there shaking your head, no.
But
why?
This is the
why,
reason.
Matt?
This is the exact reason why. Because we know that there's been no commitment to Drew Lock.
It doesn't matter. See, Matt, that's your problem. It's not about commitment to Drew Lock. It's about making a statement to your team.
Okay, but if Drew Lock is being utilized as nothing, if he's just sitting there only getting limited
you don't
reps,
get it, Matt. You don't get it.
Getting the extra development.
We're going to move on. You don't get it.
Of course we're going to move on because we're talking Drew Lock. That's why. We'll move on because we're talking Drew Lock.
No, because you don't get it. It's not about Drew Lock.
Would I start Drew Lock? Yes. Absolutely, 110%. That's not the argument. The argument is we know it's not going to happen.
We're moving on, and this is a great segue. So do changes need to be made around here?
Yes. Simple yes.
Okay.
Drew Lock should start.
If you're George Payton, what's your first move, Matt?
The very first move is if I was George Payton, I would say the very first move I'm doing is I would be going to Drew Lock. At this point, I don't know if Teddy Bridgewater is going to lead us to a playoff run. I mean, it's a 5-5, and we feel like we've won one game all season. All of our wins have come against below tier, opponents. Granted, it's an NFL, and every opponent is qualified, or they wouldn't be here. But at this point, there is no morale. We're not beating the chest. We have disgruntled players taking off. We're beating up Teddy Bridgewater, but there's been plays where Cortland Sutton's taken plays off. There's been plays where Noah Fant's taking plays off, where Jerry Judy's taking a play off, where we're seeing our defense take plays off. It's because we go back to the accountability. It's not there, so they know they can get away with it. But at this point, you need something that's going to light a spark. And we've already found out that Pat Shurmur will not utilize the one that he's been given in Javonte Williams, because every darn time he's got the ball, it's something big happening. He's hitting somebody. He's making noise. We won't use the Energizer Bunny and Javonte Williams. So that's the only other offensive spark we have. Go to Drew Lock. Do I think it happens? No, but I think it's a coward's move, and we could talk about why later.
So, Keith, and I got a question for you. Okay. Do you think that Vic Fangio has lost control of this team? And do you think that maybe it's time to make a head coaching change for the rest of the season and bring in an interim head coach?
I'll answer that in the two parts that you put forth. I think he's on the verge of losing a team. They've had enough ups and downs. They've had enough injuries. They've had enough trials and tribulations. They've had COVID and offensive coordinators out for games. It's been a trying season. It's tough to hold a team together when all of this is happening. It's almost been overwhelming. And I think he's done a pretty good job. And I think that's why the accountability thing kind of comes into play. You know what I mean? The last thing you need to do is start beating on these guys who are coming in, who are expected to be maybe second or third string guys, and really be bringing down the hammer on them at the same time. You're trying to get the most out of them you possibly can. Second part of the question, I would absolutely not make a head coaching change.
Okay.
I go right back to, we've too many times we talked about it, even head coaches that have gone other places and been great defensive coordinators for winning teams like the Arizona Cardinals.
Right.
I think there's too many times that we have just given up, and we give up too soon. Vic Fangio is in his third year. It's not like we're talking about a 7-year coach who has a 2-5, 2 winning seasons and 5 losing seasons. We're barely getting this thing together. We're barely putting this together the way that they want to. And I don't think you give up on coaches. I don't think you give up on quarterbacks. I don't think you give up on a lot of different people. The only person I'm giving up on, if I'm George Payton, is I'm canning McMahon, and I'm letting Vic Fangio know I don't know what this coaching looks like next season. It's really you're on the hot seat. That's the change I would make. I would say your special teams coach is gone, and just know that you're on the hot seat. And I think that's where the accountability starts to come down, because it falls in a tree.
Right.
I mean, we could argue. I mean, I tend to agree with Keith on one part of this. I do not think Vic Fangio is going anywhere this season. It doesn't make sense to bring him an interim coach right now. The way they're looking at it is it's still a 5-5 football team with the division within reach. That's going to be why they're going to claim they're going to remain committed to their quarterback. That's why they're going to remain committed to who they have right now. If Vic Fangio is making the calls, we know that those changes are going to be happening. If I'm George Payton, the one thing that I am going to be demanding, if I'm George Payton in terms of coaching staff, I'm saying, Vic, you've had a great run. It's been inconsistent. Your defensive play calling has been all over the spot. It's time to let our defensive coordinator, Donatel, take over, and you focus on managing the coaches. That's what your job is as a head coach. Your head coach is to manage your coaches and allow your offensive defensive coordinator, position coaches to manage the players. You are a manager of those coaches, and you need to step into that role and stop worrying about what this defense is going to do. Your defense isn't as good as you want it to be. You've lost a huge step from having to call plays from the field and not being in the box. And if you want to be a defensive coordinator, then we can let you go at the end of the season. But that's where I would start. Take the play calling duties away from Vic Fangio.
So, and I agree with you 100% there, Matt. There are coaches that, call offensive plays, other things, but you know what? They're good at it. Andy Reid, for one, look at Andy Reid. He can manage the entire game and do that. Vic has proven over the last 2.5 years that he cannot manage the game and run the defense. So I think it is time for George Payton to come to him and say, hey, Vic, just get rid of the play calling duties. Let's give him the Ed Donatel. Let him call the plays the rest of the season, and you focus on being a coach, But
you guys feel good and that good about Donatello?
No, but Vic can't manage a football game. That's what you hired him for.
But Donatel's been. It's not like Donatel's just some schmuck off the side of the road. He's got a 20-year coaching career essentially. It's time for him to step into that role. He's been in Vic Fangio's defense for how many seasons now? If anybody understands Vic's systems by now, it's Donatel. It's time to get that.
I'll give you that. Typically I wouldn't be saying mid-season change for a coordinator, but if
he's the defensive coordinator.
He has some coaching time. You know what I mean? He's been with them for a while, so I'll give you that. I understand.
Yeah, typically the role of defensive coordinator is to be the defensive play caller. Ed Donatel's essentially just a guy that's up there like, all right, I'm in the box. What do you want me to do, coach?
Yeah.
Well, this is what concerns me is I don't think you really hired our current head coach and Fangio for his great leadership ability above all the other coaches. Well, the reason we brought him in was because of his defensive prowess, right? So
nobody else would take the job.
I don't think he's the best manager of high-level people, you know what I mean? And that's why you brought him in. That's almost like a GM sort of role as a head coach, right? That guy that's almost in between as he kind of manages offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators and special teams coordinators. And I don't know if that's Vic Fangio's strong suit.
And I don't either. He's proved it time and time again with missing timeouts and I don't know if everybody saw the article from James Merrillat on 104.3, but he went over the 20 worst moments of Vic Fangio's 42 games. And there were just so many blunders that the guy has made. I mean, one of them, Broncos are beating the Raiders, We're winning 30-29 or 30 to something, whatever it was. And the Raiders had just scored. Vic Fangio called the timeout, which allowed the Raiders to get ready and run their 2-point conversion that they made and beat there were 20 seconds left in the game. The guy called the timeout. The Raiders then regrouped, got the 2-point conversion and beat the Broncos. He's just made mistakes like that time and time and time again. And I just don't see this deep. Sorry, guys, hit the mute button on accident. I just
getting a little tap happy over there, Dave.
Yeah. But I just defense sort of struggles with Vic trying to do both jobs.
All right, Dave, I want to get your blood pressure rolling a little bit,
dude. It's already rolling.
Okay, well, I'm going to send it through a little bit higher here. I want to talk quarterbacks. I seen an interesting post kind of get put out there. Talking about the quarterbacks, the inability to find one for so long. It was a post about what has been the most horrendous Broncos moment. I think the first one was Keenum's overthrow to Demaryius Thomas against the Chiefs, the Drew Lock debacle with the COVID leading to Kendall Hinton playing. And the third option was Teddy Bridgewater's missed tackle. And I wanted to see which one is, the one that you feel is the biggest quarterback blunder we've had. And, I forgot the Paxton Lynch crying on the sideline. So out of those four, which is the biggest one?
To me? And you know how I feel about this. It's Teddy Bridgewater. And the reason I say that is because the guy quit. He quit on his team.
Okay. I want that you went right into the trap here, Dave. You're falling right into the trap.
People overthrow balls, or things like that happens, But, I mean, come on, man.
You're diving right into the trap, though. So we talk about giving up on our teammates. We talk about these things, and this isn't my stance. This is just what I've heard. And it leads into Vic Fangio holding only one player accountable. Looking back last year when we talked about the COVID thing, that mistake put us in a huge mistake. You could say it essentially hurt the team just as bad as the missed tackle. It left us with no viable quarterbacks. We're having to play a wide receiver at quarterback. And you were banging the table for this guy, myself included, because I would just want to see what the heck he's got and if he's worth anything in the trade. That's really my only stance in it. But we're banging the table for a guy who potentially almost caused a forfeit by putting contract ratios in separate places. I mean, a missed tackle or taking out four quarterbacks. What's the bigger thing to your team?
He didn't take out four quarterbacks. They all made the decision as grown adults to go in that room. Don't throw it all on Drew Lock. Teddy Bridgewater's the only one.
But is Drew Lock the leader at that point? But who's the leader? Who's the leader?
Teddy Bridgewater is the only one that made the decision not to go after that tackle.
But who's the leader in that room? Who's the leader in that room?
They're all leaders, Matt.
Who is the starting quarterback?
Don't even try to twist this, man.
Who's the starting quarterback,
goodness.
Dave? It was Drew Lock.
Drew Lock was, but you know what? They're all grown adults,
and they. My damn mascot, but it was just as bad. But that's not the part I want to lead to. Is Vic Fangio holds one person accountable, and we know that's Drew Lock. He's the only one that gets accountability to it.
Drew Lock has been in the doghouse since that COVID incident.
And is that the reason with that lack of just leadership, team, putting the team in a bad position, does that extend past Vic Fangio and possibly sit on George Payton's lap as well? Maybe why he doesn't trust. Why wouldn't you roll with the young incumbent quarterback? I'm asking, do you think that was a deterrent to find Teddy Bridgewater? Because you needed a guy who could be a leader in the locker room in the quarterback position.
Apparently.
Did it damage the reputation?
He might be a leader in the locker room, but he sure as hell isn't on the field.
That's fair.
All right.
I'm just asking, because most of us thought it would be the incumbent. Everyone out here thought it'd be the incumbent. We go to the 50-50 sham. Let's be real. It was a sham. We knew the second Teddy Bridgewater got here. Anybody who says they knew he wasn't the guy or that this was legitimate competition, It's make believe. Every single analyst knows it was make believe. It was
All
Teddy
right,
Bridgewater.
really
Since day one.
quick. Hold
Go
that
ahead.
thought just for a minute. We got to run a sponsor break really quick, and then we'll come back on the other side and sort of.
Oh, I see. Kill the momentum, Dave.
That's what you got to do sometimes. Teddy killed it. All right. We'd like to thank our sponsor, Willow Seasonings and Blends. Put a little spice in your life. And, hey, I bet you Willow Seasonings and Blends knows how to make a tackle.
I mean, they got a little spice to them. They got a little spice. But no, I'm just curious. So back to what we were talking about with Drew Lock. There had to be some other deterrent to why we felt Teddy Bridgewater had to be it. Was it Vic Fangio talking to George Payton like, hey, this kid, I just don't have any faith in him?
Probably.
But if that's the case, if that's the case, why didn't George Payton go after Mac Jones or Justin Fields? Why is Drew Lock still on this roster right now? If he is nothing
Matt,
more than
I
a
asked you
paperweight,
that same question yesterday.
Yeah. And I couldn't figure out an answer.
On this locker? If the coaches don't like him and they don't have faith in him, why is he on this roster? You know, if you got Brett Rippon, who you protected because the Texans were going to steal him off our practice squad. I mean, what are your thoughts, Keith? Why is Drew Lock still on this roster if the coaches don't trust him or have any faith in him?
Yeah, I think he's a quality backup. We've talked about that, if nothing else, throughout the entire league. You know, if nothing else, he could go back up and maybe have a chance of starting someplace else. You know, that's about what his value currently is at. So you have a quality backup for a great contract right now because he's underneath a rookie contract still. So, rookie contract. So it's just, I think, and going back to the very, very beginning of where I talked about where a lack of accountability starts coming in and it comes back to that ownership. If you look at the way this team is structured in the offseason, we have a ton of free agents. We could have the ability to offload a ton of money. We could go out and potentially get any quarterback we want if we're willing to let these free agents walk and try to build our defense and some other key guys in other key positions in some other ways. So I think that's another reason he's here is just the pure dollars and cents of it. I think that's one thing that George Payton has been fantastic at is the dollars and cents of putting together this roster.
Yeah, it does lead me to a two-part question here.
All right, really quick, Matt, and then we're going to move on to our next topic.
All right, we'll keep it quick and short. This could be for both of you, whoever wants to take it. If that's the case, it's the cheap contract, it's this or that, you know, why wasn't Drew Lock the option? Because, you know, you're looking at Teddy Bridgewater. He's going to be a free agent next year. He's performs well statistically. I mean, he's above average statistically. He's going to cost a little bit more than what you're paying him right now. Why wasn't he the starter at the beginning? And why are you so hesitant to put him in now if you need to look at all those options? If they had started Drew Lock and this turned out okay in the beginning of the season, you'd be looking at all this compensation of like, we can go anywhere we want. But now we're sitting here.
Exactly what you're talking about. We've talked about it time and time again. Teddy Bridger's a better decision maker. He can go through reads better, even when the offense isn't suited to him. Secondarily, you paid him more. You only have him for a year. So you're going to put that guy on your bench and let all the money ride on the bench while the guy with the rookie contract that hasn't been able to show any ability to run any offense that he's been under.
I mean,
the
contract value isn't
I understand he's got a great arm.
Yeah, I mean, the contract value isn't significantly much more. I mean, it's not uncommon for quarterbacks on rookie deals, though. Yeah, no, I did. I'm just saying it's not uncommon for rookie quarterbacks on rookie deals for their backup to be making more money than them. It's really not. Chase Daniel, whenever he goes around, he's behind a rookie quarterback. He was making more than a second-round quarterback on a rookie deal. He would be, but that's not the case. I'm just saying it just goes back to show, like, where is it? Is it George Payton that didn't want nothing to do with this kid since day one? Is it really Vic Fangio? Because I seen a comment that just came up saying this has nothing to do with George Payton. But at this point, you're looking at it exactly what you just said. We're looking at an offseason where you're going to either have to swing big and lose all that capital on a veteran. You're going to have to either re-up Teddy or roll with Drew Lock and a rookie. It's one of the combos. You're going to have to get a rookie. At this point, and at the beginning of the season, wouldn't it have made a lot more sense just to go with Lock, let him fail so you knew he wouldn't be the answer, than committing to Teddy because it's kind of hard to go. If Teddy goes out there and he gets
All right,
benched for Lock,
Matt, you said we
All
were
right.
going to make this really quick.
Fine.
When you start
Last-
talking about
last
Teddy
piece.
Bridgewater's never picked quick.
Last piece. So, Michael, we'll make this the question. If you bench Teddy Bridgewater for Drew Lock and you swing and miss on a quarterback, on the veteran quarterback, what option do you have other than to bring Teddy Bridgewater back or pursue another retread? And you seen the list I sent you this morning, Dave. It was Ben Roethlisberger, Tyrod Taylor, Teddy Bridgewater. That's the big three. Your hands are tied.
And it really depends on who the coaching staff is. There's too many moving variables right now to really know. But let's move on. I mean, the Broncos have come into their bye week. Keith, I got a question. Can the Broncos defense become elite under Vic Fangio? Was the Dallas game just a fluke? I mean, what's your thoughts? What happened? What's going on with this defense where week to week they're up, they're down, they're all over the place? And
yeah, I've talked about it week in and week out, show after show. We had a fantastic scheme. We had a great game plan when it came to the Dallas Cowboys. When we turned into the team that we put on the field on Sunday, they said it time and time again. We're out there looking like we're trying to cover like the Baltimore game. We're doing zero blitzes all the time. It's something we didn't see in Dallas. So we can go through this. Yes, they absolutely can put this defense back together. It can be elite because we've seen it. They just had to trust in it. They didn't trust in their defense to be able to cover a running quarterback with the defense they put on the field in Dallas, and I think it was a mistake, even with the yardage that Jalen Hurts put on us this last Sunday. So, yeah, just get the right scheme out. Maybe it is that defensive coordinator change you guys are talking about.
And Matt, I got a question. No,
I don't think the defense can be elite under Vic Fangio anymore.
That's not what I was going to ask
you. Go ahead.
But thanks for trying to read my mind.
No, I'm just saying. I just wanted to get out to that. I don't think it can be elite anymore.
I don't either. I just don't. But we saw Philadelphia just tear us up on the ground. 213 yards, I think. Jalen Hurts had to throw 3 passes in the second half. I noticed that a lot of times do you think Mike Purcell's part of the problem in our defensive run game? Does he not have it anymore? It seems like when the Draymond Jones and Williams and those guys are in there, it seems like the run defense is a little more stout. Or was it just the play calling that Fangio was throwing in there?
Purcell's taken a step back. Definitely he has, but it could be that he's been battling injuries all season. I think he's had a thumb. He had another issue in the beginning of the season. He's definitely taken a step back, but if we look at the Philadelphia game and we look at the Baltimore game, highlight those two. It was Fangio's fear for the mobile quarterback that derailed what the defensive scheme is. He had the linebackers were instructed to keep eyes on quarterback all the time. So as soon as that RPO is happening, you've seen the linebackers time and time drift to whatever direction the quarterback is going. The defensive line's doing its job in crashing, but it's all going towards the same direction. They're literally all going towards wherever the quarterback is going because of the fear for the run, leaving that middle wide open. It's because Vic Fangio is an old school defensive coordinator who's not built to go against the RPO. It's just too big of a concern for him. He'd rather go all zero and leave his aging corners on out on a limb, and then that's when we got beat across the middle over and over again. When you're running zero blitzes, they're going to go where they think the ball's going, and it's just a guess in an RPO. It was a horrible, horrible game plan this week. And you could have put Aaron Donald possibly in the middle, and it would have had a similar result if they were all crashing towards the quarterback every single time. And that's what they were most likely instructed to do all week of practice.
Okay. All right, Keith. So the Broncos are sitting at 5-5 coming out of the bye week. Can they salvage this season? We're one game out of first place in this division. Can this team do it, or is there just too many problems that they're not going to be able to put it together consistently enough to make a run?
I think I'll go right back to what I said from the very beginning. As long as we don't quit on our team, as long as we don't quit on our players, as long as we don't quit on our coaches, there's only one coach I want gone. If not, I want Teddy Bridgewater back in there. He gives you the best chance to win any given Sunday in this offense. I want our coaches in place. I don't need an interim coach to come in. We are, as you said, one game out. And as bad as we've looked, guess what? Kansas City looked bad for like 3 games. The Raiders have not looked fantastic. All of a sudden, they're worried in San Diego for a few weeks. Everybody's having a rough go of it. This is a season of turmoil for almost every division, almost every league. You look at my pick'em stats last week. I don't know how you did, but holy cow, it's just a season of turmoil for every single team. Don't give up. You got to stay the course.
Okay, Matt. So we come out.
You're not
going
to give me the same question?
No.
Oh, come on now.
Okay, Matt. Take the same question.
Is
this season salvageable?
It depends what your definition is salvageable.
In less than 500 words, Matt.
If it's making the playoffs, no, not going to happen. Simple. Look at if we look
and that's what I mean by salvageable. I mean,
no, it's not.
It has to be the guy's in his 3rd season. We brought in Teddy Bridgewater because he was supposed to be efficient and he was supposed to take us and propel us and and lead this team to the playoffs.
Yeah.
So if we're not going to make the playoffs, the season's not salvageable, in your opinion?
No, I mean, no. We played divisional opponents. We played really poor at home. We've struggled against divisional opponents under Vic Fangio. That's been a consistent trend. And we talked about it all offseason. They may be struggling right now, but each 3 of the AFC West teams has invested into getting significantly better. All 3 of them have a franchise quarterback. All 3 of them have weapons they've invested in. They've done the Raiders, their biggest issue was their defense. It's significantly gotten better in 3 seasons. It's going to be interesting to see what happens now that Gruden's gone. But we look at the Chargers. They went out, they found out that offense, they found out Anthony Lynn wasn't working. They went out and found a coach who's got that young mentality, that leadership style. Justin Herbert has been playing elite level football. You go look at Kansas City Chiefs. It all goes to coaching. The Raiders, as much as we want to bash Gruden for what he is, he's not a bad football coach. Brandon Staley, not a bad football coach. Andy Reid, Hall of Fame football coach. Vic Fangio, to be head coach wise, it's a bottom feeder. Let's be real with ourselves. That's what it's been. Okay. You demonstrated the record. What was it? What was the record you said earlier?
Whose record?
Vic Fangio's.
Oh, it's 17-25.
Yeah, and that's 3 seasons. I mean, and we're facing divisional opponents. What game do you look at?
Is this
the Lions?
So question, Keith. If we just go into LA and just get blasted, by the Chargers, the defense looks horrible, the offense looks horrible. We can't muster more than 13 points again. Are you George Payton, and do you finally just wander down there and say enough's enough, put Drew in and see if he can spark this offense?
I don't understand how that's the change that gets anything accomplished. If you're going to just put another player in a system that it hasn't been working offensively, what's the potential outcome? Just another failure by Drew Lock just to go out there and feel like you did something different? It makes no sense whatsoever just to trot Drew Lock out under the current offensive game plan that we've seen be failing and putting up 13 points. If we want to go out there and we put out the offense that's actually puts up points, gives you time of possession in your favor, actually converts into first downs, the one that we've seen glimpses of from here and there, the one that runs the dang ball, then Eddie, I think either one of our quarterbacks has the potential, but Teddy Bridgewater still gives you your best chance. I don't care how bad we get blown out. Teddy Bridgewater is not the issue, and it's not one tackle either, Dave.
Yeah, Teddy Bridgewater.
I know it's not one tackle. It's one play where he didn't attempt to make a tackle.
One play, just one.
That's right.
And
Just
I
one.
look at it a little bit differently. I look at it as you put Drew Lock in because the way that we talked about this football team, it's 5-5, but we feel like it's 1-4 or one in whatever number. I can't even do math.
1-9.
There you go. It feels like it, right? It doesn't matter. The reason why I want to see Drew Lock is because I feel like the season's all but gone. I don't feel like we're going to make the playoff push.
One game out.
Right.
It's one game out. But look
Keith,
at who you're playing.
Honestly, Keith, does this team really feel like a team that can really make that run to you? Do you honestly really think that?
Well, it depends on what you're talking about.
And I want to know what's in that.
One game out, Dave.
I want to know what's in that glass if you believe that.
What if we're one game out with 2 weeks left in the season? Are you calling for a change because this team doesn't feel like they've done anything and you just want to put in a spark plug?
I'm telling
That's
you
a different circumstance.
Right.
So we want to give up now when we're only one game out and maybe give up.
But we're talking about making the change at 5-5.
Fall into the dumpster. We don't even want to see if it has potential. I just don't understand.
But you don't want to see if Drew has potential, right?
As all these teams have been up and down. Chargers have failed for a while. Raiders have failed for a while. Chiefs, they're wondering what's wrong with Patrick Mahomes and, articles being written. And all of a sudden, it's just our team. We're not just the bottom feeders where we're sitting in a terrible, terrible record. We've won more than one game. We're still in contention. Even if it's a loss, what if every single other team in the AFC West loses and we're still only one game out? I'm not giving up. Not giving up. It's going to take a little while.
All right. So you'll give up when we're 2 games out with 1 week left? Will you finally give up then?
No, I do think there is a chance, but I think you make that decision about 4 weeks.
So
you need to see about 4 weeks.
All right.
You want to make a change.
So really quick, just no elaboration. Just give me what your revised prediction is for a record at the end of the season. Matt, start with you.
7-10.
Okay, Keith.
I'll say 9-8.
Okay, 9-8, and I'm going to go 8-9. So 7-10. Does that save Vic's job, Matt? Yes or no? That's all I want.
Sure. Yeah.
Keith. Then I'm pretty sure that Keith. What'd you say? 10-7. Is that what? You went 9-8, correct?
I went 9-8. Yeah.
So then that definitely probably saves Vic's job, right?
No.
Okay.
No.
So you think Vic's out of here no matter what?
No, I think if
we don't make the playoffs,
gets you into the playoffs. If it's 9-8 in the playoffs, then yes. If it's 9-8 and you don't make the playoffs,
okay. And me and Matt have had, and the reason I'm asking, me and Matt have had this conversation, and just with the ownership and everything else, it just seems like this whole thing is lining up that Vic and company may be back for one more season.
Can I tell you why I think that, though?
If it's quick.
Let's be simple. He's been asked several times if he's felt that he's had any pressure. He felt that his job is hot. And every single week, there's no change in demeanor. There's no sense of urgency from his response. It's a simple no every single time. You think if you'd be being talked to consistently, like, hey, you got to shapen up, there would be some sense of urgency. There would be some sense of urgency in the field, some sense of urgency in the way he's calling. But either he's got the nerves of the best nervous system in the world, or he's not under any real pressure.
My 2-second response will just be this. I think so far we've seen support rather than accountability, and I think at some point that starts to flip.
It's got to. It really should. But until we see it, we got to possibly have the belief he's coming back. I mean, George Payton did go out and gush all over how great Vic Fangio was.
Right.
Yeah. So I think it's support. And as the losses pile up, it'll be accountability. You're on the hot seat, you're out.
And we can only hope so. All right, guys, we're going to jump into a little segment. I'm going to ask you who your MVP is at this point of the season, who's been a bust so far this season, and who needs to improve in the second half. And Keith, I want to start with you.
Okay. Are we doing all three, or do you want just one, Dave?
Let's just all do
our
MVP right now.
Yeah.
Okay. My easy MVP has got to be Javonte Williams. It's a guy who doesn't get enough touches, doesn't get enough time on the field, should be in a different position called RB1 rather than RB2. He's been Pepsi Rookie of the Week. He's been the angry run winner one week. It's an easy vote for me. Javonte Williams, we got a stud for running back, one that we maybe should see on the field a little more often, getting touches.
I agree 100%. Matt, who's your MVP?
I know you're not going to like it, but unfortunately, the MVP this far has been Teddy Bridgewater. Let's be real. I mean, the reason why is look at the last 5 seasons. When have we had a quarterback that's put up the numbers that have been at least in the top 15? So I'll give him that. Statistically, he's been better than anything we've had in 6 seasons. Unfortunately, that's why. That's why he gets the MVP.
Statistically,
he's the only one that's performing at a top 10. Yeah. He's the only one performing at a top 15 level on this entire team right now.
Guess what? It's not interpreting to a top 10 quarterback wins.
Oh, no, it's not. But I'm just saying he's the only one.
Right, and I'm going to agree 100% with Keith. My MVP is Javonte Williams as well. I think he is the guy that we need to see heavy use of him in the second half of the season. And let's start fading Melvin Gordon out of here. So, all right. Matt, who's your bust so far this year?
Oh, this is a tough one. This is a tough one, and I'm going to go with Kyle Fuller. While he's improving now, they paid him $10 million to be the starter corner, to be number one, and we've seen how it happened at the beginning of the season to where he essentially had to get benched for a rookie. We'll see how it ends out, but that's my bust so far.
Okay, and Keith, who's your bust?
Mine might be a little surprising one too, but for me, I expected a lot more out of Draymond Jones, and I think I've been wanting more for quite some time. For me, he hasn't shown up like we expected in the middle. We expected him to be an anchor there, and I don't think he's shown up at all. So my bust this far this season would be Draymond Jones.
And I'm going to call out somebody who really hasn't been on the field very much, and that's Bradley Chubb. I mean, that's why I
wanted to go, but I was being nice, Dave.
That guy is my bust, and boy, the guy has so much potential and just cannot get on the field. So,
all right, Vic,
calm
down.
All right,
Vic.
Keith,
that's Victor.
Keith, for the Broncos to really make that push to get into the playoffs, who needs to make the improvement?
It's a guy that we kind of invested in a little bit, and I know that we've kind of wavered back and forth on what he's been doing on the field every Sunday. I wasn't sure if this guy should be my bust or if he should be my improver. So just keep that in mind. For me, it's Lloyd Cushenberry. He's the anchor of our offense. He's the one who needs to be calling out all the coverages for the offensive line. He's struggled at times. He needs to step up his game. I think that's probably the number one reason that we see Teddy Bridgewater getting pressured yet putting up stellar numbers, Matt.
All right, Matt.
All right.
Who needs to step up?
I'm going to be kind of cut and dry here. While he's done better lately, it's Justin Simmons for me. I mean, he's got the big contract now. Von Miller's gone. This is your time to shine. You're stepping into this leadership role. This is the person who was invested in long-term defensively. He has been invested in to be the next leader, and we need to see those leadership come up. We need to get this defense under control. He's a leader of that secondary as well. That's the guy they go to, and the $70 million secondary has been less than lackluster.
Yeah. And Keith, just so you know, Cushenberry was almost my bust. I mean, and I'm high on Cushenberry. I love Cushenberry. I followed him while he played at LSU. I really like him, but I expected a lot more out of him this second year, and maybe all the injuries along the line, have caused problems. I'm going to say that guy, and this is going to shock all of you guys. Please don't fall off your chairs. But the guy that needs to improve the most to take us to the playoffs is Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, you can throw out all the stats and say he's this, he's that, but I mean, stats are just stats. We got to equate those to wins. And Teddy needs to find a way, as the quarterback and the leader of this team, to get the ball in the end zone, because field goals do not win you football games in the NFL.
Don't tell Vic Fangio that.
Well, we're seeing it's not working. And
no,
he has probably one of the best kickers in the NFL, and he won't even let him try a 70-yarder with 2 seconds left in the half. I don't think he likes McManus either, because McManus has called him out before too. So,
I'll 100% agree with you there, Dave.
Yeah,
I think there's something there for sure.
Yeah, Bridgewater was almost my step-up player too, because while I put him as my MVP because of the numbers alone, it's the same thing. You just lost the locker room potentially, and you're going to have to step up and show that you are the leader you claimed you were prior to that missed tackle.
Yeah, and I don't want to be too hard on Teddy, but I think he did make a huge mistake by not attempting to make that tackle. I mean,
I'm not going to disagree with you. I just want to go back that, in retrospect, it's going to be one play. It's going to be, one play that he's taken off in his entire Denver Bronco career so far. I've yet to see that any other time. And yeah, if he would have owned up to it, maybe better. But at the same time, it's still just one play. It's one mistake. Yeah. You can't put the guy on the spigot and fire up the flames, buddy. I'm sorry.
All right, guys. Matt, I want some.
Can I get one more question? All
right, Matt, come on.
So we talked about the lasting memories. If this is truly Teddy Bridgewater's one and only season with Denver, is that going to be Teddy's lasting imprint on his Denver Bronco career?
For me, it will be.
To be determined. I mean, we're first year. We're half a season in. So
I'm saying if this is his only season, let's say we finish out like 8-9 or 9-8 or 7-10, is that what we remember?
I don't care if we lose every single game here on out. There's still potential for other things. So I mean, it's only one season. We're only halfway through. I reserve judgment vote.
So
if this is Teddy's only season in Denver, then I would hate to say that, because he's done some good things, like I said.
And he has done good things, but you know what they always say, one shoot, gets rid of a whole bunch of attaboys.
You're giving Teddy Bridgewater the Sanchez butt fumble. I get it, buddy.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
All right, Matt.
Forever known.
Very, very quick. Any parting shots?
I hope
anything you want to say, just open forum, but just make it quick, Matt.
Oh, I know. I'll talk for years. I want to see Drew Lock at some point this season. I just want to see what he's worth. That's it.
Boy, for me, it's this is the perfect time to get right, get healthy, get back on track. Make sure you stay the course. Don't hit the panic button. Don't bring out the panic sheet that tells you to make all different coaching changes and player changes. Make sure that you realize how close you are to being in this and make a run. That's my parting shot, man.
So, and all I'm going to say is I needed tonight. I think this is the closure I needed to get this Teddy thing behind me. I will definitely be supporting the Broncos all the way. I mean, I'm still going to be a little upset with Teddy because, I just think that's an unforgivable sin, but that's my opinion. So, but I really just want to see this team come together and gel the second half. If they can come out and gel in Los Angeles, I think that Fangio has not lost this team. But if they come out and it is just a disaster like Philadelphia was, then I think Fangio has lost this team, and maybe Peyton does need to step in and make some sort of change, even if it's like we talked about, take away the defensive play calling or something. So, all right, gentlemen. It has been a great night spending a Wednesday night with you guys. Everybody, thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching. We will be back next Wednesday. Are we doing anything special, Matt? Because it's Thanksgiving Eve. I don't know what everyone's plans are, travel plans or whatever. So we will get it figured out. We will let you guys know. But, hey, make sure you guys go to Facebook. Like us and follow us on Facebook at Rocky Mountain Sports Report. We're on Twitter at Rocky Mountain SR. We're at Instagram, Rocky Mountain SR. Go follow us on there. Go to YouTube, click and subscribe buttons, And you know what? Hey, Bronco fans, keep the faith. It's only 7 more games. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, if anybody's looking for group hugs because of Teddy Bridgewater problems, I think you can go to any of those social media accounts. David Slade will be there. Hand them out for you.
All right, everybody. Everybody have a great evening. Enjoy the weekend off, spend some family time, stuff like that. But everybody, thanks for joining us tonight.